Thanks for the crowded table winery for letting us do it here.
Yeah.
I'm always searching for something with like a good environment and
it's such a nice
whatever.
place.
So
Cool.
kind of took over here, but yeah. So this is mission 6.
Yeah.
Glad to have you volunteer your time to interrogate you.
No problem.
So I know a little bit about you, your family, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've seen any of the videos before that I have, but I basically had 6 questions that I would ask just as a general framework for discussion.
Right.
So I guess the best thing to do is kind of like to introduce yourself is to give us your life story up until getting out of high school, or actually just up until you had the thought of joining the military.
Okay. So you like where I grew up and stuff like that, or
like your family background.
Okay.
If there was any military influence in your family background, where you went to school, how you did in school, siblings. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Indiana County, Pennsylvania. So Brush Valley was the name of the town, little town, like Lawrenceville, Tioga, pretty small. So had grew up on. It was sort of on my grandparents' farm. Like my grandparents had 160 acres. They gave 10 to each of their kids. So my mom had 10 acres.
Okay.
Built a house there. But we did stuff on the farm with them too, like making hay, and had horses and stuff like that. So grew up there. I have 3 siblings. I'm the oldest. I have 2 brothers and a sister, all younger than me. Let's see. So
you're the oldest.
I'm the oldest of 4. I'm the oldest of 4. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, grew up there. Went to it would be United School District. It's in Armonk, Pennsylvania, but
is that near the Indiana University?
Yeah, so near IUP. Yep. So 2 of my 3 siblings actually went to IUP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So went to church there in a little United Methodist church in town there. So I mean, you know this, but music is a big part of my background. I teach music now. So sang in the church choir with my dad and my grandma, and that was a big part of what shaped where I ended up going in life. Did that all through high school and stuff. I did well in school always. I was actually the salutatorian of my graduating class. Did well academically. I had always loved music. I went to like different district and regional choir festivals in high school, all state things. So that was kind of what shaped where I was starting to think about what my career was going to be. I loved doing that. So I decided to go into teaching because like I knew, practically speaking, I knew like being a music performance person, like that doesn't really happen for a lot of people.
Competition's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy for that. So I knew teaching is a good way to enjoy that music, but also have some stability and raise a family and stuff.
Were you focused on any like usually somebody's like, I want to be the trumpet, that's my thing, or guitar or whatever.
I always loved singing.
Okay, vocal.
So my instrument in college was voice. Okay. I did a lot of piano also though, because those two really go well together, especially teaching high school choir, being able to play for the students while they sing and stuff. So yeah.
Through high school, were you mostly focused on music and no sports, or did you have some sports and also music? Or
yeah, that's a good question. So I played like Little League up until like maybe 6th grade. I played basketball until 9th grade. I always enjoyed basketball, but I never was like so into it that I spent like all the off season practicing and shooting and stuff like that. So basically when I got to 9th grade, and like that's where it started to be like more like competitive in terms of like, if you weren't the star, you were going to sit on the bench. And which was like, I knew that wasn't my thing, but it was also like, okay, well, if I'm just going to sit on the bench and not,
that's where it started to show if you were like doing this out of school.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was where like I definitely prioritized music over sports at that point, because that was the first year I did my school's musical, and because those were during basketball season, so it was kind of a not very many people crossed over there. So it was like, okay, I'm going to step into this and kind of really commit to the thing that I do enjoy doing the extra work for. So yeah, I did that and went that way. I still they had like an intramural soccer. It wasn't through the school; it was through AYSO soccer.
Yeah. Youth soccer organization.
Yeah. So I did that, because that was again like everybody plays and it was just fun, and I enjoyed sports, but like for the fun of it, not for the I'm going to be the best at it kind of thing. So so I did that. And then getting into high school and like thinking about college and stuff, like I knew I did well enough academically. I did have some scholarships on the way, but my parents kind of said like, we don't have money for college. We got 4 kids. Like that's not going to be a thing. So
I know all about that.
So that was when it was like, I was like looking at the finances, and I did not want to go take out a bunch of loans and stuff either. So that's where I started looking at the National Guard for options.
What year was this?
So that's a fun part of the story. It'll trip your trigger of like, this was March of 2001 is when I enlisted. So at that point, pre-September 11th, National Guard units were in the States. They did floods and they did, that kind of stuff.
More humanitarian.
Yeah, humanitarian. Yeah, they did not go overseas. So I was like, okay, that seems like a good deal. Like what they're offering financially for college, do the basic training and stuff like that, and the weekends. And that was like, hey, that's a pretty good deal for what it pays for.
Did you have like any uncles or grandparents or anything that caused you to like,
So both of my grandfathers were in the Army. That I don't know if I would say that it wasn't like family tradition kind of thing, but it was actually like after having the experiences of being deployed and all that stuff, I appreciated and had more conversations with them. And there was more of a connection to that. Like my
that's
mom,
so cool that you had grandparents around when you got out.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, they were still were still alive. Yeah. My mom's dad was in the Army. He was in the 101st in World War II, parachuted into Europe, all that stuff. Yeah. So
he's still around.
He's not. No, he died in 2011. So but only like very few stories of his that I've gotten to hear from that, because that those guys didn't really talk about it.
Yeah, my mom's dad was over in the Pacific in the Navy, and very few. I know a little bit from some pictures, but yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. So and then my dad's dad was in, like he must have, I don't know exactly. He hit the sweet spot during the like Cold War kind of era where nobody was going anywhere, but he did electronics, and so the story that he has told is that like he worked on a lot of the rockets and the space program stuff even. So he apparently, and I didn't know this until he told these stories, that was very like sanitary, like in terms of how they did those things, like and so they had to like wash and wear gloves and all this stuff, but he apparently like snuck in and was like at one point had a glove off and like put his thumbprint on one of the rockets. So he says, and this is his story, that his thumbprint went to the moon. I don't know, or to space or something of that effect. So that's kind of cool.
Man. Yeah. So that was what, in the late 70s and 80s?
I think that might have. I think it was it must have been in the late 50s or early 60s. I think because
that's true.
Yeah, because he didn't go to Korea, but he also didn't go to Vietnam either. So he just like hit that real tiny window, I think, of things. Yeah.
One of my uncles went to the Korean War. But okay, so that brings you up to like senior year of high school. And you were saying, as far as career goes, like you immediately were thinking military versus college, or both?
Well, both. Like basically military as National Guard as a means to pay for college was my thought process.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what caused you to go to National Guard versus the reserves of other branches?
Probably.
Like, did you go to career fairs and there was recruiters there?
There was. I'm trying to think. Was it? I don't remember exactly how I got in touch with the National Guard recruiter, I don't know if he came to the school or exactly
Okay.
how I got hooked up with him, but I knew like, so obviously it was like, I didn't want to do active duty. So it was National Guard or Reserve. And I think a lot of it had to do with like the closest National Guard unit to my area, to where I grew up.
Okay.
I don't think I don't know. I think the Reserve things were further away. The National Guard unit was about half hour, 40 minutes from where I lived.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, that was a big part of that.
Were your parents like, yeah, good job, you should do that, or were they like, don't even think about it?
My dad was very supportive of that.
Okay.
He had almost gone into the military. He was in like a delayed entry program, and then ended up getting out for basically I don't know if he had gotten a job of some other kind, or there was some kind of thing that he didn't do that, but he was supportive of that. My mom was not unsupportive, I guess, but firstborn kid going off, like she was actually, and I still joke with her about this, she cried more when I went to basic training than when I got deployed to Iraq. Because that was the first one, her baby going off,
By then she'd already like processed that you're in the military.
Yep. So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I remember my dad was pretty adamantly against it.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know how my mom felt about it, but the fact that he was against it, I think, pushed me to do it even more. But okay, so then National Guard there in Indiana.
So
is that what it was?
It was in the 101st, or sorry, the 103rd Armor was the headquarters was in Johnstown. The A company, line company that I enlisted, that's where the slot was in Ligonier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So, yep.
So then, when you were looking at all the options, like music, that was an MOS?
No, definitely not.
So like, okay, so you're looking at college for music and National Guard strictly to pay for the college. And what college had you chosen at the time?
So I don't know if I had settled completely, like when I actually signed the enlistment things. It might have been close, but Clarion University is a state school in Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So the National Guard tuition assistance fully covered tuition at that at that place.
I should have gone that route.
The state schools.
Yeah.
Plus then the federal, like the GI Bill, that paid for like room and board and all that stuff. So I came out and I came out of college with money in the bank rather than because rather than debt.
I could hit rewind. The Marine Corps Reserves was like, I can't quite remember. Well, I had the GI Bill. That's all I had. It was like $150, I think, a month. It barely paid for books and wow. So that's good.
Yeah.
So then you signed up. What was that experience like signing up? Like, what did the recruiter tell you?
Oh my goodness!
So what you're expecting?
Yeah. So I don't listen to the recruiters.
Yep.
That's like the age-old thing. Yep. So that was a kind of convoluted, I guess, how that all went down. Initially, so it was an armor unit. So it was basically like tankers and various, support elements for that. Mechanics or truck drivers or that kind of thing. They didn't have, I'm trying to think of what, at the time, I was not interested in a combat job of, being a tanker. So I was like, I can be a mechanic. That's fine. So at that time, and I don't know, and this is part, I don't know if the recruiter knew this and was shady, or if this like transitioned at the time that he was doing it, or just the government having numbers on file that aren't actually real for jobs. But anyway, at the time, the Abrams tank was had two separate like mechanic slots. One for the turret and the electronics and the gun, gun control mechanism, all of that kind of stuff, and one for like the engine track, track mechanic.
Okay.
They had two like job codes for that. I don't remember off the top of my head what they were.
Right.
But so the turret mechanic school, and again, some of like my thought process is I'm doing this for paying for college. I'm not doing this, as a as a career thing. So I wanted something like, so the basic training the first summer fit in like between school year, in college. Then I was going to do my AIT the next summer. And so I wanted something that would fit in that time window. And the turret mechanic was supposed to be, I think, 12 weeks. And I was like, fine, that sounds good. Sign me up for that. Get back from basic training and getting, talking through like what's going to happen the next year. And they're like, well, actually, they combined those two schools to where like your track and turret mechanic, and it went to like 20 weeks or something like that. And I was like, well, that's not going to fit in my summer. I had just finished my first year of college. I didn't want to miss another semester. And so the recruiter was able to shuffle me around into a 88 Mike transportation slot, which was like 6 weeks, I think. So
that's like driver, a driver.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So, which was fine. Like I didn't mind that, but it was like, it was not as, dealing with the military. It was not as simple of a switch as just like, hey, can you switch me to this other school? Yeah, sure. Fine.
I know.
It was complicated and a lot of stress of like, is this going to work out? And thankfully it was okay.
They pulled that switcheroo on me like a few days before I was supposed to go to boot camp. And it was like, I was set for mechanic.
Okay.
Diesel mechanic. I figured they're going to teach me something while I'm in there.
Yeah.
And then, it was a couple of days before. They're like, I was locked in, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, sorry, we had to give that to somebody else. This is what we got left. So you're already like amped and ready to go. So I was like, all right, what do you got? So I ended up with the NBC.
Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so you go to boot camp. Where was boot camp at?
Fort Jackson, South Carolina.
Yes, that's the thing. The Army has so many different boot camps everywhere.
Yeah.
So were you doing basic with people that were going to have similar MOSs, or was it a mixed bag?
No, it was a mixed bag. Yeah, we had everybody in there.
What was tell me what it was like when you were like getting ready to go to boot camp and your experience there.
Okay, so some of the guys who like from my National Guard unit who went with me, they had enlisted like earlier in the year, and so they had gone to a few drills and kind of gotten a little bit of like preparation for what things are going to be like. I enlisted in March, and like schedule wise, I had concerts and other things, graduation things wrapping up the end of the year. I didn't really go to my National Guard unit until I like, I might have went one time just to like get some stuff or whatever, but so I didn't really have any idea what was going on. They did have, and I think this was helpful. At the Gap, they had a 3-day like pre-basic sort of thing.
Oh, no way!
Which was helpful because it was like not quite as intense as basic training, but we did some basic marching kind of things, and you kind of had to at least like keep your some of the routine like maintenance and rules kind of things.
Did they make it stressful there? Like
it was
at that 3-day thing.
It was not particularly like a little bit of like stress, but it wasn't as intense as we get into boot camp and like throw all your stuff down, run here there, screaming at you the whole time, kind of whatever.
So did you have your recruiter come to your door and pick you up, or like how did?
No. So my parents dropped me off at the armory, and the AGR guy there drove me down to the Gap.
Okay. Oh, so you left from the Gap.
Yep.
You did 3 days of the Gap,
and then immediately down to South Carolina. Yep. I'm trying to think. I think. Oh, did we take a bus?
That's
I feel like we took a bus from the Gap down to South Carolina. I don't remember. Don't quote me on that for sure. That's been a few.
Yeah.
a hot minute.
Yeah. So you probably don't remember like how many people were with you and all that.
I mean, I do remember. Like there were, I don't know, there were like two of us from my National Guard unit. So like one kid that I had met before, like nobody from my high school or anything. That was nobody that I like that I knew going through it. Yeah.
What time of year was it?
So it was summer. Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so June to August was my basic training, in South Carolina. Yep, so it was warm for sure.
Mine was in South Carolina too, Parris Island.
Right.
I I was purposely trying to time it so that I was there February to early May. So it got cold down there, actually.
Oh yeah.
Even towards the end. But, yeah. So how long was your boot camp? What was your like stepping into that environment?
Yeah. So that was, it was 9 weeks. And like again, like I said, I did sports sort of recreationally, not for like, hardcore. So it was a good workout for me to like get my body, get physically in shape with all the things that they had going on. I funny story. My grandfather, my dad's dad, the one with the rocket ships, he basically, the advice he gave was like, don't stand out either way. Don't be the best guy. Don't be the worst guy. Like fall in the middle.
Right, that's right.
And so that was kind of my goal. And I remember it was probably halfway through basic training. Our platoon sergeant, drill sergeant, looked over and was like, "Hampton, have you been with us the whole time?" I'm like, "Yes, I did."
I had the same story.
Like, oh, thank goodness.
Oh, I think I was about halfway through. One of the drill instructors was like walking down the squad bay, just looking at it. He's like, "George, where do you come from?" Been here all the time, sir.
Yep.
Yeah. When that happened, I thought, "Oh crap!"
You noticed me now.
Oh, you noticed me. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But as far as like them trying to induce stress and screaming and all that, like, how did that hit you?
I mean, it was stressful, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like broke me kind of thing. Like, like, okay, this is just a thing that I have to get through. And like, I don't know, I wouldn't say my parents were super harsh like that, but we just, we did,
discipline.
We did discipline, and we did hard things. Like we baled hay and we cut firewood, and we, did things that were strenuous and stressful, and like, okay.
Yeah, I think boot camp hits people differently depending on where they came from and how they grew up. Because I was kind of the same as you. It's like, this is weird, grown men screaming their heads off.
Yeah.
It didn't like scare me or anything.
Right.
But it was like, this is just an inconvenience I have to put through.
Yeah.
And I don't want to delay it any longer than I have to. So no injuries, just like,
just do the thing.
Stay in the middle, graduate on.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember looking out the windows, and every Friday they'd have graduation, and the parade deck was out there.
Yep.
And it was just a constant reminder, like, one of these Fridays it'll be yours.
Yeah, you can do this, do hard things, and that's okay. Yeah. Yep.
How many people were in your? Do you remember how many people were in your platoon starting and ending?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I want to say 40, but I might. Yeah, I think I want to say 40 because
by the time you ended, 40. Or?
I don't think we lost too many. Okay. So maybe I can think of one guy off the top of my head that we lost, and it was not because he couldn't do things, but he had bad attitude.
Oh yeah, he
like backtalked the drill sergeants all the time. And it's like, what are you doing, buddy? Just do the thing. Like, shut up. A
lot easier.
Yeah, and you're making it hard for the rest of us because there's not as many individual punishments as there are group punishments.
That's right.
Yeah,
blanket party. Yeah. We had a few of those too.
Yeah.
So in graduation day, like,
so my parents came down, and I was.
Or actually, I should say, like, what part of boot camp was the most difficult for you?
I don't. I mean, I definitely was not like physically as far like I ran okay, but push-ups and sit-ups, it took me, because they do like, progressive PT tests to kind of see where you're at. I think it wasn't till like, if there were like, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them, it wasn't until like maybe the third one that I was where I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to pass the PT test. So that was probably the hardest.
Yeah.
Thing for me to get in that shape.
Yeah. Did they have much shooting? Like,
yeah, we had. Yeah, I mean, I grew up hunting and stuff, so shooting wasn't. That was fine. I always did okay with that. I don't know if I was an expert marksman at boot camp or if it was at AIT. But
what are their quals like in the Army? Like, what did you have to do to?
Remember? I don't remember the numbers of targets, but we had like 50, 150, 100, 150, 200, and 300 meter targets.
Based on like prone, kneeling, standing, like all
Yeah,
that stuff,
prone. Yeah, prone position. Yeah, we didn't have just prone. We didn't have multiple
Okay.
positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had to get. I don't remember exactly what percentage you had to get,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I remember we used to get in trouble if we were caught keeping score,
Oh.
like keeping our own score.
Mm.
They didn't want you to know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which makes sense. But
yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
I know one of our instructors before we started rifle qual, instruction, he asked like, who's ever shot guns and hunts or whatever, and everybody, yeah, me. You all are gonna fail.
Yes, I remember that too. Because they had their particular way.
Yeah,
that they
bad habits.
And that's true. Like there were some good things I learned from that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what I told myself. Like I raised my hand, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna forget everything I know.
Yeah.
And just
I'm okay to learn something.
That's right.
I'm humble enough. Like
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Yeah. I remember like I don't know other interest like this wasn't something like again I just put up and do whatever. But I remember people having trouble with the NBC training with the tear gas, the gas chamber.
Yeah.
I remember some people having to do that more than one time because they, had trouble once they got it off, getting cleared and getting back through again.
Yeah. But did you have when you were in the gas chamber? Did they make you wait until everybody took their mask off to put it back on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's always this one guy that's
like took forever.
I'm not taking it off.
Like, come on, buddy.
Oh, that's funny.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever been away from home? Like that long?
Not that long. No. I mean,
camps and stuff.
Yeah, camps and stuff. Like visiting family.
Right.
Uncle in Ohio that I sometimes would spend a week with in the summer working and stuff.
Yeah.
But
at that point, being that far away at that age wasn't really a big.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a big deal that way. Nope.
Okay, so then you graduate boot camp, and what's your next?
So then so there's where like the the 2001 date gets in there.
Yeah. Oh when?
Yeah, so I graduated boot camp in like almost the end of August, middle of August, I think.
Yep.
So I got back and like was just like readjusting to civilian world and like you can wear clothing that has different colors and people call you by your first name and things like that. And so I was I was at college and I had been there I guess maybe 2 or 3 weeks and September 11th happens and like that just changes everything for what the military does, what the National Guard did.
Do you remember where you were and when you saw what you were doing and all that?
The news. I was in a music seminar class, and they wheeled the TV in, and like had it was the first kid that came in and said about it. I was like, you're messing with me. He was kind of goofy, like no, and then they started showing stuff, and so I had so I didn't know what that meant for me, military wise, and I didn't actually get deployed until a couple years later, so it didn't affect immediately, but it did eventually affect. Actually, my dad was in Boston for work training, and he wasn't able to fly back. I'm pretty sure the flight was out of Boston that hit the towers.
Oh, wow.
So that was something that was a little stressful until we heard from him.
Wow.
But then there were no more flights going, so he had to rent a car and drive home. I remember there definitely being stress of like getting a hold of people and like, what's the, what is this? Am I getting called up immediately? Because that's kind of the thought process. And it wasn't until, so that was my freshman year of college. It wasn't until after my junior year that I actually was deployed. So,
I can't remember what year. It must have been.
Oh, yeah.
But I was in the dorms at Mansfield, one of the ones that they tore down already. And I remember we had the TV on, and that's when I saw it.
Okay.
But that was pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what was your? Did they contact you, your unit, or anything like that?
I don't think they actually contacted me. I think it was just when I went to the next drill, and they, didn't have anything going at that point exactly, but it was kind of sort of understood that something, because. And maybe I might be wrong on this, but I feel like during the Clinton years, like the active duty military had been downsized a lot.
Okay.
To where, for a big conflict like that, they
You had to.
They had to call, had to call up the National Guard Reserve stuff. So that was kind of like, if we go somewhere, if the country does something, then that might be. It's not. It's that's the quick.
And going in with the mindset of like, I'm not going anywhere.
That was shocking. Yeah.
So how were you feeling about like the thought of having to go over?
I was not excited about that at all. Yeah, I really wanted to like do my college, and it was like,
be out.
What am I in for? Yeah. Yep.
So how long? You said it was a couple of years until you were deployed. And
Yeah. So
what was the lead up to that?
So that would have been, let's see, so September 11th would have been fall 2001. So let me think if I got this right. Yeah. So sometime in the spring of 2004 is when our unit got orders that we were going over to Iraq. And even that, it was like, it was weird about how they decided who was going and who wasn't going. And at first I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going. And then like got to camp in June and was like, oh, nope, you actually are going. So, okay. So it was, not a ton of like prep time to know that, but like, so that we had that our 2 weeks in June at the Gap that then basically rolled right into, I think we may have been home for another week or so after that, but then we did a I don't remember what they called it, but a training at Fort Bliss, Texas for 3 months to kind of get us all up to speed on that, because again, the National Guard units were pretty flabby at that point. Like I can remember some of the
soft.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Like I remember some of the PT tests that we had where like they would take us up to the top of the mountain in Ligonier so that the old guys could run downhill the whole time and pass, like that kind of stuff. So it was definitely we got to harden these guys off a little bit here and get them back into the fighting mode here. So we spent from end of June until September. I want to say September, maybe beginning of October in Texas at Fort Bliss.
So another southern visit in the summer.
In the summer, yes, Texas, hot, West Texas, dry. But again, it was like, okay, this is the environment you're training for, so that's why they did it. Makes sense. Yeah.
Would you say that you and the guys in your unit, like, were you guys pretty tight, or just like, this is what I do work with once a month?
Yeah, I mean, we were okay. Like, we weren't. That once a month, like for a couple of years, doesn't really, quite build as much, as fast. But definitely by the time we had done that train up in Texas, we were pretty close.
What rank were you?
I was an E4 specialist through that. I got promoted to E5 while I was overseas, but
E4. That's what I exited as.
Okay.
So, okay, so then, tell me like the lead up of after your training, you come back home and.
So we did that training in Fort Bliss, and then there was a special JRTC training in Fort Polk, Louisiana. That was after that for another, I want to say 4 or 5 weeks, maybe something like that, and that was like a more, I don't know, like combat simulation, I guess. It was like a longer, like, coherent training of like, okay, here's your like base, your forward operating base kind of setup, and like assuming that if you were over there, the things you weren't gonna it was like 21 days of no showers and baby wipes because that was going to be in the field, that kind of stuff, and like you had the laser stuff on your M16, and if you got shot, you were dead for a certain amount of time. Like
they having you like set up security perimeters and
security
stuff like
perimeters, all that kind of stuff. So it was a more intense sort of training. So after that, then we got a leave to go home and see our families. That was early November, I would say. But and I don't know how this works, but we weren't able to all go at once. It was like staggered. So for a few more weeks. So if we were just kind of hanging out, like doing nothing, which again, hurry up and wait. There's the military stuff. Like you can't have leave, but we don't actually have something for you to do. So
That's
you
the
just sit
worst.
here. Yeah, we played a bunch of video games and
Yeah.
like hung out and whatever.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
Were you getting wartime pay for that or what?
not for that.
No.
No. Nope. Because I was just in Louisiana. That didn't count.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do remember, and this is just a weird thing. I remember like Texas, dry, hot, whatever. I remember when we flew into Louisiana, I was like, this place stinks.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it was just where we were in Louisiana or what, but I remember it being like, ooh,
Really?
it smells weird here. Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, so we got all, and I guess I think some people had stuff to do at that time because like the supply people were like getting different things, and some of our equipment, they were shipped in comics boxes and stuff to go over. So there was some stuff happening, but it wasn't like.
Now, if you're in something like that, if you're a driver and there's not much for you to do, but like supply guys are hustling around doing stuff, do they come over to the drivers and be like, hey?
Sometimes, they'd pull us to go do random things here and there. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. That's how it was in the Marine Corps, too.
Yep.
So they always try and look busy.
Yeah.
So then after Louisiana, that's when.
So then we flew into Kuwait from there.
What was this? Just popped in my head. What was your mindset like after the towers came down and you're going to Iraq?
Yep.
Just like your frame of mind of what your goal or mission was as a U.S. soldier and your opinion of the job you were going to be sent to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was like retribution. I guess sort of thought like, okay, these people attacked our country, and so we're going to go, attack them in theirs so that this doesn't happen again, kind of idea. And I definitely remember thinking like that, from the time, like especially the way that the training was like from the time you get over there, you're going to be like shot at, attacked, whatever. Like, it's going to be 24/7, like combat kind of feeling. It's going to be, Saving Private Ryan the whole time or whatever, which thankfully it wasn't. But I remember being very like keyed up to like how serious that felt. Yeah.
That's probably good because it probably made you take training a little more.
Seriously. I don't think that was a bad idea for sure. So we flew into Kuwait and we had, I want to say a week there just to get acclimated to the time change, before
Oh, that's true.
Before we were going to convoy up into our base in Iraq. So I don't know if you saw some of those pictures, if you could tell where things were, but like there was a couple where it was like big, huge lines of trucks. And this is like before, they were armoring trucks. Like, you just had, deuce and a half, 5 tons and stuff like that, that were just like soft targets for the most part for the IEDs. But again, it was like transitional because we knew enough that was happening, but the production side hadn't gotten there yet. So we had like, our mechanics and our welders and stuff, like somehow they got a hold of like steel plating somewhere. And like we were taking the side windows out and putting a steel plate with like a little cutout so you could see, but you couldn't, but you had some protection. It looked like Mad Max driving up in there. It was like really rigged up kind of things. Yep.
How long did that take to get your, like, I'm sure you were assigned your unit, like so many vehicles. How long did it take for those to get hardened?
I mean, I think that was all happening on and off during that week or so that we were in, that we were acclimating. I think something like that. Well, and again, like some of those guys went over in advance, like as we were, waiting around for everybody to finish up their leave and stuff. There were some guys who got, who got sent on advance party kind of things to do some of that.
One of those pictures, you had a vehicle. I think we call it an LVS. It was like had a front cab with 2 big tires, and then it was swiveled.
Yeah. Those things. Gosh, what did we? I don't think that's what we called it, but it's we can't have the same names. Different branches.
I know, right? The M something.
Yes.
I remember one guy got it buried in sand when we were in 29 Palms.
Okay.
And I don't know how they ended up getting it buried, but I was sitting in the passenger seat, and he was good at what he did as a driver. but he got that thing hopping like crazy. And like in the I had a helmet on, but
yeah, I remember those were interesting to drive because like the pivot point was behind you where you're sitting in the cab over that. So like you had to wait a lot longer. Also, the turning radius was terrible. It was like we go that far. Like give me 40 acres kind of thing.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you were over there, was it 10 months you said, or?
Yeah, so so we were in country in Iraq by December of 04 and came back home October 05.
So the first week you had everything hard and you were like kind of getting prepared for the worst. What were some of your missions during the time there, and Okay,
so we did that, and, we convoyed up, and like Hulk, I don't know, it was probably 2 or 3 days convoy, and like we stopped at different like bases that had been established for the night, but it was one of those where like while we were out for the day, like we're not stopping for anything, so we had bottles for bathroom breaks and like, okay, driver, hold the steering wheel while I relieve myself, kind of thing.
Not
stopping for anything. I mean, again, thankfully we did not encounter any kind of attacks or anything on that whole convoy up for a couple days, so that was definitely a blessing. Got there so our base was in Beji, Iraq, was where it was at. Which that was like further north. So Tikrit, I think, was what was, if I remember correctly, Saddam's hometown. And so it was a little bit north of that, maybe an hour, I guess, an hour drive, something like that.
Tikrit, I'll put a map up, but Tikrit, I think, is like 3/4 of the way.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah,
northwest.
North. Yeah, I think so.
Of I don't know.
Yes, because Baghdad's pretty close to the middle.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't remember exactly how. Yeah. So anyway, we got up there. It was a relatively small base compared to some of the other ones.
How long of a drive was that to get from where you started to for this one in particular?
So it was, like I said, it was about 2 or 3 days from the Kuwait up to there,
okay.
So.
You're traveling almost the entire length of the
country. It was pretty far. Yeah. So, and again, those convoys are long too, so it takes them, till one gets to the spot.
How about refueling? Like, do you remember how?
I'm trying to think. We had some fuel trucks with us.
Okay.
So I don't remember for sure if we refueled on the road or if we refueled at bases we stopped at.
Okay.
I don't remember that part for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got to the base, and it was like a repurposed airstrip. So we didn't have any like planes flying in and out of there, but we had helicopters periodically. And you could probably see that from some of those pictures that were in there. That so there's a couple aerial pictures of the. So
that's right.
The aid station and the headquarters and stuff like that.
It's pretty sparse.
There was not much there. There was maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 like actual buildings, and then like the CHUs, they called them. I think it was compact housing unit, basically a 2-man trailer kind of thing. And a lot of guys stayed in those. We stayed. The maintenance and the transportation guys. There was a big hangar that was the maintenance bay, and so it had some like rooms on the outside edges of that. So that's where we stayed. When we were first there, there was no like hot water shower kind of, that kind of stuff. There were just porta johns and baby wipes. But then they did end up having some like trailers that they brought in that had water and you could shower and stuff like that in there.
So then, like you had other missions. Like, what other missions did you have while you were there?
So our our main mission, like our battalion as a whole, was just doing security, and patrols.
Really?
In the local area, kind of maintaining a presence. Like it was, it was an occupation for the most part, more of it, because it was past the like main combat, phase of that conflict. But just an occupying force and humanitarian things. Like they were looking out for different, insurgent cells, in the
Mhm.
area, and we did end up losing, I think, in our battalion for that entire time. I want to say 6 or 8 guys, so
Oh, really?
not a ton for that entire span of
Mhm.
time, but
Mhm.
enough. Um, yeah, and
Mhm.
one of those guys I knew just to talk to, like wasn't a friend per se, but
Yeah.
he so as a transportation guy, we would get supplies, and so we primarily I did ammunition transportation,
Okay.
so like for headquarters, and then we would bring out to the different line companies,
Mhm.
drop off whatever their orders
Mhm.
were. So he was one of the supply NCOs for one of the line companies, so
Okay.
I had delivered to him, talked a
Right.
little bit, but yeah.
So you're moving ammunition from where you were at to some other base a little bit further.
Actually, well, we were supplying ours from further south.
Oh,
We
I
would go
see.
down and get stuff and bring it up to our base.
Okay.
And then there was one spot. It was a little further north of us that was even more. It was basically like 3 or 4 bunkers and a perimeter, and that was
Okay.
it. So we did supply to them a couple
Right.
times.
Right.
Yeah.
And those were the places that were like seeing more consistent action. And,
Yep. And our guys, when they would go out, like if they would go out on patrol, like sometimes they would see stuff. But yeah, it wasn't as intense at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you participate in patrols at night or anything?
I never no. So I pretty much was just a driver.
Yeah.
It's like so I never did those kinds of things. And that's like as far as my like personal testimony of some of that. I like obviously my mom was a huge factor in that, and like she had been definitely been praying for my safety for that entire time, clearly. But when I was in transportation for about the first half of that, but I helped with music for the chapel services because they had a little space where we could do that, and the chaplain, preached on Sundays and did other things. So I just, helped, play the piano and stuff like that. So at some point, his assistant got reassigned, and so because I had already been doing some helping out, he was like, "Hey, do you want this job?" Which meant I wasn't going out anymore. I just stayed on the base and helped him with various things. He because chaplain's like a non-combatant, so technically his assistant is supposed to be his like bodyguard, but it's also like his, he's an officer and I was enlisted. It's also his driver, his sidekick, that kind of thing. So I was able to stay on the base. That was an answer to mom's prayers, especially for my safety. So.
Did you find that a fair number of guys were attending like Sunday services and stuff like that? Or was it?
There were some. It was not like, because there was our battalion, and I think I think it was just a couple other separate companies from other units, and there were like 3 different services. I want to say, if I remember right. There was a general Protestant service. There was like a Black Gospel service, and then I think there was one more. And so we, helped out with each of those.
That's interesting. They separated out.
Yeah. So those
Protestant, Black Gospel, and then Catholic, Jewish. Right?
Yeah. And the Black Gospel service was wild.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Lively.
Like we went. Yeah, it was lively. Yeah, we would go to those a couple times.
Yeah.
It was.
I know, like at least during boot camp.
Yeah.
They just had Protestant, Catholic, and it added some good flavor. I liked it. It was very enjoyable. What part do you think like music played with the guys that you were with, and like were you able to use music to help others beyond Sunday?
There were the two of us who did play, like the one kid played guitar and I played. They had a keyboard. We connected quite a bit outside of that, just because we were doing that together and kind of planning and stuff. I don't think it was necessarily a super big connecting point for other people. Yeah.
I didn't know if like other people had instruments and stuff like that, and you were able to.
Actually, my roommate, who was an atheist, he had his own guitar. So like we, he definitely heard the gospel more than one time
Yeah.
from our exchanges, and he was very like inquisitive in a like I don't know ornery kind of way. Like,
Okay.
what about this? Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
that
yeah.
he necessarily wanted an answer, but to
Right.
rile me up or whatever.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
I didn't get riled up, but
Yeah.
I would try and give him the best answer I
Yeah.
could. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I've touched base with him a few times over the years, and
Oh, neat.
I don't think he's come any further
Yeah.
towards faith at all.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your 10 months there were thankfully like uneventful.
Uneventful. Yeah,
Uneventful.
yeah. As far as
Um,
yeah.
And the guys from like Indiana that you went with,
Mm-hmm.
you said you had lost 6 or 8, but they weren't any from your local.
They weren't from my. Yeah, no, they were
Okay.
like because it was kind of weird how our battalion ended up going. Like, and I may not have all the facts right because you don't get all the straight info from everybody. But our battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel, he was real gung ho about wanting to go, and but whatever the next higher unit was in charge of this operation for us for Pennsylvania was like, well, we need just one company from your unit, and he was like, well, no, we don't. If they just send a company, I'm the battalion commander. I don't get to go.
Yeah.
So he was like, no, we're going to take this whole battalion. But it still wasn't just our battalion. It was like our headquarters and 2 of our line companies, but then this other line company from a different battalion got attached to us.
Oh.
So it was a weird mishmash of things. And then they also, because as we were going through the training, a lot of these old guys like were not making it through the summer heat in Texas. They knew they weren't gonna, so they got pushed back, and then they backfilled some of those slots with some ready reserve guys, which I like. That was something that I never really thought of. Like, your first contract is like whatever. It's an 8-year contract of 3 plus 5 or 4 plus 4, whatever. Where like, or mine was 6 plus 2. Like you're 6 years in the guard, and then 2 years where you're on the reserve list, where you don't have to go to anything, but you could be called up. And a bunch of these guys were called up from that to backfill of our empty slots. Yeah, so it was a lot of local guys, but also from some other places too.
What was your mindset as far as like, you train. You said, mentally you were there to get the bad guys retribution.
Yeah.
And then basically like didn't see much action. Were you at the time? Were you like thankful, or were you like, oh man, I want to get some?
I mean, I wouldn't say that I was like, I want to go. Light some guys up. Yeah. But I was expecting that was what it was going to be.
Okay.
And so, I was along for the ride, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was definitely grateful that it wasn't as, intense as it was supposed to be. It still because kind of like painted a picture of like things were better there because we were there. With the 20-year hindsight of looking at where the country is, I don't know necessarily how much difference that made overall. But we did what we were supposed to do. And
were you able to come into contact with like local residents there?
A couple times, yeah. There was actually I maybe I misspoke about not going out. There was one time where I did get pulled to do a security thing. There was like the local mayor and our like battalion officers were having some kind of meeting about the town. I don't remember exactly. And I did end up pulling a guard duty on that meeting. And like, it was again, pretty tame, but, and I don't know if those pictures, was there pictures of kids in there at one point?
Behind the gate or something.
Yeah. So they were like outside the gate, and they were just like, wanted to come talk to the Americans. And like, I didn't speak whatever, Iraqi or whatever, but like they were just playing around and like wanted to talk and like showing stuff. I actually have, I should have brought it. I didn't think about it tonight, but the kid gave me one kid gave me just like a little wallet as like a little souvenir. Like, so we talked, like we communicated without like, a lot of talking, just a kid hanging out, like, wanting to see what's going on. So that was a good experience.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay, so then, like, you wrap up your mission there, or your deployment, I should say.
Yep.
Did you have? Was it just one deployment while you were?
Yep.
Okay.
Just one. Yeah.
And that was how many years you were in when you were on that deployment?
So
It's like halfway.
like about halfway.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that.
So
Well, halfway when it started. By the time it wrapped
Right.
up, it was more than that. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you came home. Like, what
Mhm.
was the after that?
So I guess like I don't know how exactly to explain this, but it was definitely like a growing up kind of like experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're in college and it's just fun and like, whatever, no responsibilities. I remember coming back after that and like, even though I was only, 1 year older than, or whatever, than I was before that, I remember feeling a lot older than as far as values, life experience, what was important or not important, like,
was it a struggle going back into college atmosphere versus you were just 10 months in the military?
I mean,
deployment.
It wasn't a struggle like as far as the workload or the whatever.
Right, but I mean, people.
It was definitely different to interact with people. Yeah, in terms of like I said, feeling like
immaturity versus
maturity. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. But like I guess one of the good things is that like I had been connected to the local church in college beforehand.
I'm sorry. How old were you when you came back?
So I guess if it was 2005, I would have been 22.
Okay.
So right. Yeah.
So you're beyond what most graduating college students
right.
are.
So
anyway.
And I still had an extra year.
Yeah.
Plus.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So I came back in October of 2005. Even though I guess I could have started in that spring semester, but I didn't feel like I was ready to just jump right back in. So I did some like voice lessons and sort of was involved in college. That's actually when I met Megan, which was kind of that's a cool.
Indiana?
Well, no, at Clarion University.
Oh, Clarion, yeah. Sorry.
So that's again a cool part of God's providence in that story is that she's 4 years younger than me. So if I had just gone straight through college, I'd have graduated before she got there. So that deployment, brought me a wife.
You'd have been single today.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, or pick somebody not as good.
right.
So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, like so, I took some lessons and kind of hung out with her a bunch, and then started. So I actually ended up being 2 years behind in school because of the years worth of deployment plus plus a little bit, and then I didn't go back right away. So yeah, I just remember feeling like not just like, oh, I'm a carefree college kid, like you got whatever, but I was involved with the church there, and so I actually that following year lived with the pastor there and did kind of an internship with him that was kind of a nice like, I don't know, more adult kind of connection, I guess. And like I did connect with the college ministries through like as a liaison to the church, not just as like, oh, another college kid. So it was a nice like way to bridge that gap and be connected in the right way that fit with where I was maturity wise and stuff. So
I'm kind of getting away. I asked a zillion questions outside of the 6, but one of the questions that I usually ask is what was the most impactful, whether positive or negative, experiences you had? I guess during deployment.
Okay. I guess I would say my faith being strengthened through that time of like there's the Lord and his provision for me to like I said about the safety stuff, but also like that there's no birthdays, no holidays, none of that stuff that was typically be like build you up and encourage you, and is that kind of thing, and just like having to rely on the Lord and his love for me in that more than, and just to get through each day, like being in that environment and away from family and all of those pressures. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking as you were saying that is, I mean, when you're living with a bunch of military guys, like the environment there, like did you struggle in that, or do you feel like God helped you through temptations, or even just um, like I often regard my early 20s and teens as like a chameleon.
Uh-huh.
Whoever I was with, that's how I was acting.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that having that environment was definitely hard to not just be, because the military and the language and the subject matter of conversations is not always the most wholesome kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I would say that I didn't always do really well with my use of language in those kind of scenarios. But as far as like values and what was important and making sure that it was known, like where my hope was, I think that was helpful, especially when like I was the chaplain assistant, because then you're like in a position where you do have like a more expectation of you're living it up to a certain way. So that was also a blessing in that way.
I can always remember there was one guy in our unit who was just like an outspoken Christian, and he often got made fun of because he lived exactly what he said. Whereas me, not so much. I'd converse with him and have a good conversation, and then I'd be over here, smoking and joking. And every time I saw him, it was like, I don't want to say a thorn in my side, but it was like
conviction of like, I wish I could do more of that. But at the same time, there's
glad he was there. But that's interesting. So then, looking back now, in what ways do you think military service has helped or hindered your life now?
I mean, it's definitely helped in like being able to, again, endure hard things. That's huge. There's the like financial benefits are helpful, like
no college debt.
No college debt. The VA home loan stuff I've used multiple times. That's been helpful. I appreciate those benefits.
Have you ever been to the VA to see like what you qualify for beyond home loans?
I've looked at stuff online a little bit, but I've not really. I mean, when I came back, I did do a couple of appointments with the VA, like medical things, just so that my name was in the system, I guess.
Interesting.
But I haven't really.
See, I never did that.
I haven't used that. I haven't used that a ton. I mean, I don't go to the doctor much anyway.
Right. Same
and
here.
So like the times that I've had to go since then has been like, okay, I'm bad enough. I need to go to the ER. Like whether it's injury or like there's one time where it's like hives all over my body. Like I guess I'm not gonna like tough this one out. So I haven't, and that's not necessarily what you want to go to the VA for.
Right. Yeah. I never, because I always figured, I was reserves. I never saw in combat. Like, there's people that need it way more than I. And I talked to a combat Marine veteran, and he was encouraging me. He was like, "You need to go. You have no idea what you might qualify for." I was like, "Yeah, maybe," and I still haven't. But I know they just built a new Veterans Affairs office in Towanda.
Okay.
So I might stop there.
That's the other thing too, is where we live. There's nothing nearby to go to, so it's always like,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I
was just thinking of another. Well, I was just thinking of another story that was is impactful, I guess, not necessarily in a like, I don't know, changed my life kind of thing, but it was just a cool thing to be able to do. There's probably one of those pictures you saw where I flew a flag while I was over there. And I flew two. One I gave to my parents, and the other one I gave to my grandfather, who was the 101st Airborne guy. So that was really meaningful.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Do you still have both? Are both grandparents passed away?
No, my parents are still alive, but my grandparents are. That flag is at my parents' house. When I give my grandparents is at my parents' house and
Yeah.
with the one that
Yeah.
I gave to them. So
Nice.
Yeah.
How old is Josiah?
14.
Okay. So it doesn't quite apply, but the final question I ask is that if somebody comes to you, they're like 17, 18,
Mhm.
and they're like, hey, I'm thinking about joining the military. Like,
Yep.
what advice would you give them?
I would say it's probably depends on the specific person.
Yeah.
And like, and I've also gone back and forth on this throughout my
Sure.
life experience too. There was definitely a point where I was more recently out of it. I don't know, and I would say yeah, that's a great both financially, good discipline, good benefits, it's good maturity kind of thing. All those good things that I had gotten out of it, I would say yes, that's great for. As I as I'm a parent of kids, and I am you're more aware of the potential life consequences that not everybody's going to have that experience where you go and don't see anything at all. There's more caution there for sure. And also I have gone back and forth about and I guess this is maybe just my political side of me is what is the military being used for? Is it values? Is it missions that I would support?
What's the end goal?
Yeah. What's if somebody attacks the United States of America and we repel that attack, fine.
Sure. Yep.
Nation building around the world.
Right.
Like one of the things I look at is the Afghanistan mission and think how many lives lost, how many years there, and the Taliban people are now better off than they were because they've got all this American military equipment that we just left there. So
I was just listening to a podcast and I mean I could probably quickly calculate it, but they were saying we were in Iraq for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's longer than Vietnam.
Yeah. Right. And
I don't know how many we lost.
Right. But
for
it's
what?
Right. For what? And that's the part where I'm cautious, I guess, about a recommendation of that. I feel like I really have appreciated what I've seen of Pete Hegseth as the Secretary of War in terms of missions and stuff.
Yeah.
But now this Iran thing, I'm
right.
I don't know. It could turn out well.
I read something.
I'm going to wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I read something interesting. Nobody's going to complain that what's his name is now gone. Right.
Yeah.
But we've seen the Iranian people stand up against the regime numerous times.
Yep.
But then back down.
Right.
So they're counting on other countries to come in and free them. They don't value it as much as I don't know. And that really rubs me
if they
the
haven't
wrong way.
earned it, are they going to maintain it? It's kind of the thought.
That our men and women are going to die for something that they don't value as much.
Right. Well, and then they're just going to throw it away is what you're worried about. Happened
and
again, Afghanistan and
money too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
We can't afford it.
Yeah. So I think the experience is good for young people to have, but I'm a little more skeptical in my age or whatever about the value of missions. Yeah.
I had a guy when I was looking at joining the Marine Corps. He was in the church I was going to. He was a captain.
Okay.
If he's watching, I don't know. I might be wrong. Lieutenant.
Could always upgrade him.
But anyway, he was in the Marines, and I asked him what his opinion was or his advice, and he said, "If you're strong in your faith, then go for it. But if you're kind of on the fence and you're not real strong or don't have a good foundation, I would strongly
discourage
it."
Yeah.
I was like, and boy, was he right. So that's good advice. But
the other advice that I always give when I have kids, at school, ask me about it. I'm like, talk to more than one branch of service. Don't just talk to the one recruiter. Things that I have learned learned after the fact. I did the Army National Guard. One of the trainings that I did, so in the midst of, I told you about the turret mechanic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They still tried to switch me over to that with a different school that was that fit in somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in a training in Boise, Idaho,
Mm-hmm.
on an Air Force base out there,
Mm-hmm.
and man, the Air Force was cushy. Like,
Yeah.
I had maid service, I had my own room, I had
Oh
like
man.
free cable.
Yeah.
Like why did no Air Force people talk to me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so check all your
I
options.
know, like,
you know,
even though like Marine Corps pride runs strong,
yeah,
if any of my kids were to, I would tell them to strongly consider Air Force or Army National Guard,
yeah.
just for like just the financial freedom.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there's a lot. I feel like there's more job opportunities in different branches too. Like
yeah, yep.
you know, Marine Corps has their thing that they do really well.
Yeah,
Army
yeah.
has, you know, things. Air Force has like so depending on what
Yeah.
you might be interested in doing, and like and the other thing I would advise kids is like think about if there are any civilian skills that you're going to get that you can use after that. Like one of my regrets is that I never actually got a CDL after I got out from that.
No way.
Yeah. So
that should have just like come with
it
you.
Should have, but it was like this weird hoops to jump through, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to be a music teacher. It's fine.
Wow.
I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, CDL's great to have in your pocket.
If I had that, summer jobs while I'm teaching, it could be a whole lot. Yeah. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It was. I did talk to other recruiters, but
yeah,
it was all pride. That's really what it was. I figured if I'm going to submit myself to like boot camp type stuff and suffering, whatever, I'm going to come out saying that I did this.
You did the hardest thing.
Yeah. I had no forward thinking about financial.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. So the final question is like, are you glad you joined?
Yes. Yeah. I have no regrets. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Any other final points or?
I mean, I don't know. I can't think of anything.
That was a lot of questions.
Oh,
that's usually what happens. Is like the 6 questions go out the window.
Well, you got those, but there's always interesting side trails that you can go on, and everybody's experience is different.
The whole point.
So, yeah, it's great.
Well, cool. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Thanks for the time.
Yeah, cool.